To understand the role that Palestinian imprisonment holds in the project for Palestinian liberation, one has to understand how comprehensive the military presence is for Palestinians living under Israeli rule. For perspective, in the United States of America, 0.7% of the entire population is incarcerated. That's almost 1 in every 100 people being imprisoned. According to an Al Jazeera report from October, in Palestine, 1 in every 5 Palestinians has been arrested and charged under the 1,600 military orders that control every aspect of the lives of Palestinians living under Israeli military occupation. That incarceration rate doubles for Palestinian men. 2 in every 5 have been arrested. It should be mentioned that this high rate of imprisonment is driven by the fact that Palestinians are trialed in a military court, separate and different from the civil law courts that Israelis are trialed in. And many people will find this interesting. This is what Israel's largest human rights organization, B'Tselem, have called in explicit terms apartheid. Fundamentally, we have 2 different laws, 2 different legal systems that promotes the supremacy of one group over another. These military orders exist to restrict the civil rights that Palestinians have, preventing their right to free assembly, association, and public expression. As of 2 years ago, Sahar Francis's Guardian article records that since 1967, Israel has decreed more than 411 Palestinian organizations illegal. This is very, very important to understand when understanding the context of what is happening now in Gaza. Palestinian activist groups who campaign diplomatically and legally are often arbitrarily shut down and suppressed. And of course, on the other hand, those Palestinian resistance groups that fight back physically are then labeled by the United States of America and the UK as terrorist organizations. With the aforementioned points, one may wonder, how then are Palestinians supposed to campaign for their rights if they cannot do so in a diplomatic, legal manner? Violent resistance is terrorism, and legal diplomatic resistance is very frequently outlawed. Are the Palestinians even allowed to resist? I mean, just of January this year, we saw a new directive attempting to place restrictions on displaying the Palestinian flag in public as it was a symbol of terrorism. Even though historically speaking, this very flag was created by a British official, Mark Sykes. In 2010, the Israeli army promulgated the military order 1651, which replaced 20 prior orders and imposes a 10-year sentence on anyone who attempts orally or otherwise to influence public opinion in the area, West Bank, in a manner which may harm public peace or public order. So what is this? Essentially, 10 years in jail for attempting to influence public opinion. And who deems whether you are influencing public opinion in a bad way, in a negative fashion? The very military courts that are propping up the Israeli state. So let's do a quick recap. Only based on what we have said so far, we have the following. A race-based legal system that subjects Palestinians to military law, but Israelis to civil law. Number 2, a situation where 2 in every 5 Palestinian men have been arrested. Number 3, military orders that attempt to prevent any societal organization to resist Israeli occupation and apartheid. All of this, though, does not even begin to tell the full story. In addition to this military law, Israel is currently holding 1,200 Palestinians in what they call administrative detention. Essentially, what this really is institutionalized kidnapping. Palestinians are detained without trial or charge, just on the basis that they plan to commit a crime in the future. And this period that they are detained for can be extended indefinitely. So let's get this straight. You are placed behind bars without committing a crime, without being charged for a crime, without going through due process, without going through a court of law. This is supposed to be the only democracy in the Middle East. Where is the rule of law? Where is the justice? Where is the democracy? And children are not safe from the abuses of the system that we have been describing. Since the second intifada in the year 2000, more than 12,000 Palestinian children have been detained. The most common charge levied is that of throwing stones, which holds a maximal sentence under military law of 20 years. Some may find this unsurprising, but the military system allows for Israelis to avoid recording any of the interrogations with the children. What we have of the interrogation of Palestinian child Ahmed Mansara is horrific. According to a Save the Children report, Palestinian children have been stripped, beaten, and blindfolded in the Israeli military detention system. 4 out of 5, 86% have been beaten, 69% have been strip searched, and 42% are injured at some point during the arrest. We are speaking about children here. A flagrant violation of the 4th Geneva Convention, which makes it illegal for an occupying power to transfer an occupied people from the occupied territory. Israel transports Palestinians from the occupied territories in the West Bank to Israel to be held in imprisonment and depriving them of any family visits. So not only is there the potential for arbitrary detainment, but those who are being detained are often plucked away from their families. And you won't find this surprising that Amnesty International have described this as unlawful and cruel. It is difficult to fathom how difficult such an ordeal must be for the families, for the parents of children who end up in this detention system. The civic environment for legal and diplomatic challenge is suppressed. The world seems not to care about the thousands of Palestinians for whom a life of arbitrary detainment and military rule is a daily reality. And we have not even spoken about the conditions within prisons where there is torture, starvation, regular beatings, verbal abuse, and reports of rape. And at the same time, Israel have also placed a chokehold on civic organizations that attempt to campaign within the occupied territories against what is for them clear injustice. This is all necessary context for us to understand what is happening right now in Palestine and who these terrorists are that Israel has to release in order to get back Israeli hostages from the Gaza Strip.